Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Pro Wrestling Sim series, episode number 5, as we continue to try to build up our wild world of wrestling promotion, a local promotion based in Connecticut. And as we will see very shortly, if you haven't figured this out already, we are plankton in the ocean that is professional wrestling, but we're hoping to improve things little by little. Since the last time we met, we've run one big show in the month of June, and we've also added a couple of wrestlers to our roster. The new additions to the team, we added in another women's wrestler, Marissa Wynn, hoping that she can just give us a little more versatility in terms of the matches that we can book. Gives us an opportunity for a second tag team of faces among the women wrestlers. Relatively inexpensive, $50 per appearance. So she is a mid card wrestler for us. And with the pending heel turn that we have involving Garrett Carter, we added Trace Henson into the mix. He's a young face, going to be a relatively expensive wrestler for us, $150 per appearance, but you can see that his skills are significantly better than many of the other wrestlers in our promotion. And we're hoping that Trace Henson will be a good addition going forward. I mentioned that Garrett Carter is doing that heel turn. I set him to do that at the end of the last episode. Didn't realize it was going to be something that would take quite as long. As we'll talk about shortly, the heel turn has taken place completely in my mind and in the type of matches that we are setting him up for. But I'll know next time when I try to make a change like that to build in a little bit of extra time. It'll be interesting to see when that heel turn actually takes place. It's possible maybe I need to do something in a storyline about it. I've kept him in the storylines. I don't remember seeing a storyline where I can turn somebody into a heel in a show, but I will check that out before we do our next show. We did, by virtue of Garrett Carter turning on and setting up his former tag team teammate and the owner of our promotion, Ricky Babylon, had the Dream Team vacate the tag team championship at the beginning of the month, and we ended up holding in our last event, which we'll talk about shortly, a tournament to determine the new tag team championship. But to my original point about us being plankton in the ocean of professional wrestling, you can see our big event for the month of June drew 375 people. You look at all of these other promotions that have been happening over these early weeks of the month of June, and almost all of them are larger and in many cases significantly larger, higher rated, more profitable, and presumably more successful than what we're doing. But we are trying to build things up little by little and move in a better direction. Turning now to the event that we did have, you may remember that after Ricky Babylon was ambushed, we had him writhing injured on the ground at the end of the last show. He filmed a promotion to start the next show from his hospital room, which was very well received. We also introduced Trace Henson, the new signee that I talked about earlier. Match for the women's championship belt. Alani Hernandez retained it against Emma Banks. And then we did have a rumble with 4 teams, the M&M Boys, the Damage Squad, the High Flyers, and a new team, the CNC Cripple Factory, which is the new heel Garrett Carter and Mark Cannon have named themselves the CNC Cripple Factory. And as it turned out, Carter, even though he is no longer working with promotion owner Ricky Babylon, quickly reclaims the tag team championship as a member of CNC Cripple Factory with Mr. Cannon. Number of angles after the show to hopefully keep those storylines going, and that will bring us to where we are today, preparing for our second event of the month, holding this one in Vermont, a smaller event than our primary event. You can see we're going to be spending about $2,000 on wages. Attendance slowly moving up as our promotion gets more and more recognition in North America, and our show quality ratings with the investment that we've made into some better audio visual equipment can now reach 35% rather than 30%. Certainly hoping that at some point, maybe by the fall, we'll be able to be selling out small sports halls, and hopefully we'll have to make some decisions as to perhaps moving into somewhat larger capacity venues before the end of this year. And I couldn't find an obvious way to just turn Garrett Carter into a heel, so it may be something that just takes a little bit of time. He's still involved in a number of stories where we're using him from a heel perspective, so I'm hoping that happens organically in the not too distant future, and I'll know next time that we can kind of enter that into the system ahead of time and start planning for the future with the storylines and make it happen a little more organically perhaps and less abruptly than we did last time around. But if I'm missing something, for anyone who's more familiar with PWS than I am, please let me know. We'll quickly sim through this show in Vermont before moving on with our world here. Not anticipating that we're going to do anything but get a 35% score, since that's where we're tapped out. We do have 3 title matches today, including a women's tag team match. So a very popular promo here. New tag team, including Marissa Wynn, who we added with Anastasia Romero, going to be taking on the reigning champions Alani Hernandez and Gia Valdez. Angle involving Malcolm McKnight and the newcomer Trace Henson ahead of the bout that they have that was scheduled at the end of the last show. Moving into the matches, dud of a match here between Josue Melton and Malik Gillespie. A little bit disappointing there, but again, horrible or at least very mediocre match scores don't matter too much to us when our show production quality is capped out at 35%. Fire and Ice, the new team of Anastasia Romero and Marissa Wynn, lose to the Pain Train, so Alani Hernandez and Gia Valdez remain the 3W Women's Tag Team Champions. Pretty decent match quality here, and hopefully we can get a little bit of heat for that storyline that's been kind of, I don't want to say regressing, but it's definitely been in neutral over the last couple of months. The match that we teased earlier, Trace Henson versus Malcolm McKnight, okay match quality, certainly not great. Trace Henson's performance much worse than usual, so not necessarily having the type of debut that we want for someone who we are investing some resources in. Got a championship tag team match coming up among the men right now. CNC Cripple Factory against C Squared, and Mark Cannon and Garrett Carter. CNC Cripple Factory successfully retained their title. Decent match quality. This was a scripted result, so not a surprise to me to see CNC Cripple Factory after winning the title in that Rumble last time out, defending it successfully here. Ricky Babylon and Corey McKee in a match for the men's championship. Ricky Babylon back from the injury. Corey McKee is a less prominent wrestler who actually does have some talent. He's a upper mid-card heel that we haven't paid much attention to he did ask us for a title shot, so we will have fulfilled that promise by giving him this opportunity, even though Babylon took care of him relatively easily. Good to have Ricky Babylon after he was out injured in the last show, returning to this show. Work some angles to hopefully get some story momentum building and to hopefully get some ideas for what's going to be happening in future shows. The angle of Garrett Carter and Mark Cannon, CNC Cripple Factory, and Carter's manager and girlfriend, Cadence Chavez, interview with Mustafa Johnson about Ricky Babylon, reasonably well received there. Really good interview here of Babylon with Jeffrey Weeks about his match against Corey McKee and his broken, at this point, relationship with Garrett Carter. Respectable score on the Malcolm McKnight angle with the addition of Trace Henson into that storyline. Hopefully we can keep that one moving forward. You may remember from the last episode that Samara Lester is the relatively recent addition, and she is the manager for Malcolm McKnight and ringside at his matches on a regular basis. Finally, we're going to have a war of words between Gia Valdez and new addition Marissa Wynn, and Ricky Babylon's going to schedule a match between those two. Decent result here, largely driven by the star power of Ricky Babylon trying to move this story forward, but the new addition Marissa Wynn will be going up against Gia Valdez in the future. You may remember that Gia Valdez had a burgeoning relationship with Ricky Babylon a while back that was really just a complete fraud, and she set him up, and that was the beginning of the end of his relationship and partnership with Garrett Carter. Finishing up the show, obviously expecting a 35% rating, which we received. We probably are only going to do these 2 shows in June. We have started building out the schedule for the rest of the year, though, and planning on having 3 shows a year, or 3 shows a month, every month throughout the rest of the year. We're also adding in a couple of larger shows in addition to our normal live shows. We're going to have something called the 3W Thanksgiving Batch, which is our live shows are typically 2 hours. Our normal shows that we've been scheduling are 1 hour. This is going to be an hour and a half show, so a little more opportunity. And then we're also going to have the Jingle Bell Blast as our final show in mid-December, just before the holidays. So 3 shows a month for the rest of this year. We've got those all scheduled at this point. Colby Hendricks, we promised him a longer match. He was part of the C-Squared team that lost in that tag team match to the CNC Cripple Factory. We promised Mark Cannon a win in a title match, which he obviously got in the CNC Cripple Factory match. Mentioned that we had promised Corey McKee a chance at a championship. 387 tickets sold. We still are getting close to that $6,000 ticket sale amount from these shows, but we haven't topped it quite yet. Colby Hendricks, mid-card face, wants to work with the popular new addition Trace Henson. We'll give that some thought going forward. Taking a look at the roster, just want to see Garrett Carter. Still have that planned heel turn. Okay, here we go. There is an obvious way to do it. I just haven't read things clearly. To complete a turn or character change, use the worker in an angle or match and click the Handle Character Changes button during the segment results section. So I will make sure to do that for our next show, which will be not too far from now. 3W Live in July, just 13 days away from a big show when the heel turn for Garrett Carter will turn official. Hopefully that'll give a little boost to the storylines. You can see the we don't like each other and tag team trouble still kind of lingering where they have been, but relationship issues and we want a shot at Ricky, both of which now include Garrett Carter and Ricky Babylon. A little more heat in those, so hopefully the upcoming official heel turn of Garrett Carter will get some more momentum for those storylines as we move forward. We've simmed ahead a couple weeks since the last time we checked in. We actually ended up adding a third event at the end of the month of June to experiment with some things, which I'll update you on shortly. A couple of things going on. We had mid-card wrestler Colby Hendricks ask us to wrestle over the next month with Trace Henson, the hot newcomer that we brought on board. We rejected that request. Obviously, want to keep the wrestlers as happy as possible, but I'm starting to, notice that you got to put some constraints on things if you want to try to put the best matches together and you want to try to control expenses. And I think I need to be a little more thoughtful about that. One other thing, Cadence Chavez, our recent addition as a personality, has more than tripled her booking fee. She's been involved in a number of storylines over the past month or two, but certainly expenses are starting to unfortunately get out of control. I think I've perhaps been a little too aggressive bringing on some personalities to really try to build the stories before we had enough attendance and infrastructure to support that. You can see here on our finances that we actually ended up losing about $1,400 in the month of June, even though we did end up having a third show. And obviously, we knew that our production costs were going to be higher than they had been when we did upgrade our camera facilities, but staff wages have been moving up steadily. And as I put cards together, I think I need to be more thoughtful about exactly who I'm using, why I'm using them, and also be pretty thoughtful about the personalities and the managers involved. If I'm going to have an expensive manager involved in a show, I should probably have the other wrestlers that they're associated with on that card as well, and then maybe have none of them the next show so I can at least save the manager fees in addition to some of the fees for booking the wrestlers. Also did note that needed to kind of execute on the heel changes for Garrett Carter and some other moves that we were making. And there was actually, when we run the shows, there's a button near the top left before you move on to the next show that lets you handle character changes as part of whatever story you're working on. So I had missed that button when I first made those heel changes to their profiles. But going forward, I'll know when I do that, that's the way to actually execute on the heel change and hopefully tie it into the story. With that backdrop, a couple thoughts on the events that have happened since the last time we checked in. Did mention that we ended up doing an event right at the end of June in Springfield. The key thing that we wanted to do here, continue the storyline going with Garrett Carter. He faced off against the new face, Trace Henson. Also had a women's championship match. Alani Hernandez defended her title, and Ricky Babylon defended his championship title. This is the one where I saw that after you run the angle, you do have the opportunity to handle your character changes then and do your heel turns, and it gives you some feedback on those. So that is obviously good to know. We moved on then to the month of July. The first show for us was the big 3W Live in July show. And this is where we started thinking a little more aggressively about what we need to do with finances. I mentioned earlier that Garrett Carter's fee has gone up from $400 to $750. He is by far the most expensive wrestler we have in terms of his booking fees. And although we had his CNC Cripple Factory team with Mark Cannon as our tag team champions, using a wrestler that expensive in tag team matches rather than matches against the likes of Ricky Babylon. As far as a top singles match, I don't think is the most bang for the buck. So we had the M&M boys, Marvin McNeil and Josue, take the title from them for the 3W Tag Team Championship. Pain Train defended their Women's Tag Team Championship, and the Men's Championship, Ricky Babylon won again. Continue to move on with some storylines there. And then just yesterday, we did a show in New York City. The M&M boys defended their recent tag team championship. Ricky Babylon won again, defending his men's championship. We're trying to leverage him as much as possible since he's extremely popular, and as the owner of our promotion, we don't pay fees to book him. But now that Garrett Carter and Mark Cannon are no longer tag team champions, when we do use Carter, we're going to try to use him very strategically going forward and try to get as much as possible as far as the bang for the buck. We're also going to be a lot more thoughtful about our expenses. You can see we've got a show coming up in about a week in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a lovely place to be. In July, we are going to have Garrett Carter facing off against Ricky Babylon. There will be the Women's Championships, which Alani Hernandez is going to win. The Men's Tag Team Championship, we will see what happens. But you can see we've got a show that we're expecting pretty solid and typical attendance of close to 300, keeping the show cost just below $2,000, even having Garrett Carter on board. And going forward, I think Garrett Carter is going to be a little more of a luxury. And as I mentioned, we're going to be a lot more thoughtful about how we build the cards. In the past, we've been trying to give as many wrestlers as possible an opportunity. We're going to try to build better storylines, and as I said, be much more strategic and hopefully financially responsible while we are also building these cards. And back to the expenses, our original announcer, Jeffrey Weeks, more than doubling his booking fee from $50 to $110. So expenses just continue to get out of control. We'll probably will continue using both of our announcers, both Jeffrey Weeks and Mustafa Johnston for the primary events each month. But I think going forward for the smaller events, probably also just going to have one announcer involved as we try to get more strategic about the way that we're spending our money. And we've simmed ahead now to the event in Cape Cod, and we'll run through that event now, get the show started. As I mentioned, when you do have a angle where a character change is taking place, here where you can click on to the next segment, if there was a character change, we would get a button over here on the left side of the screen to handle the character change. If you want to do it, you click on that button, and then you've got some feedback depending on what you decide to do. The right side of the screen is the next segment part that you see here. Obviously, there's no character character change involved now, which is why we just see the typical next segment uh, promoting the match that we've got coming up later. Good momentum for the continued tension between the former tag team partners, Garrett Carter and Ricky Babylon. An interview with Ricky Babylon about Garrett Carter gets an even better reaction. His star power continues to pay dividends. Malcolm McKnight beats Clinton Gordon. That was a match that Malcolm Knight had actually requested, even though he's a better wrestler than Clinton Gordon. Wanted to do what we could to keep Malcolm McKnight happy, so happy to put that one on the card. Real rough match here. Alani Hernandez, as scripted, defends her title, but the match quality very poor between her and Anastasia Romero. 30% score isn't even going to help us get to the 35 cap that we've got, but fortunately with some of those other scores from the promotion and the first fight, I think we'll be fine. Men's Tag Team Championship now on the board, and the M&M boys, Marvin McNeil and Josue Melton, defend their title. So good to start getting a little bit of momentum there. Think that we'll continue to put the Tag Team Championship out there relatively regularly. Ahead of the championship match, the entrances for Garrett Carter and Ricky Babylon get a big reaction. And we've got a relatively long singles match, 19 minutes coming up between the two of them. Very well could see them getting tired. Overall level of wrestling ability, they were aiming for something great. Looks like we didn't quite achieve it, but still a pretty high score, at least for what we've been doing. The crowd reaction was high. The match quality only just okay. But still a decent result, and hopefully we can keep some momentum with that storyline going. Very good reaction to some interview done by Mustafa Johnston with Ricky Babylon, and then a little more discussion afterwards. Ricky Babylon making a match between Corey McKee and Josue Melton to try to keep some momentum going on some of the difficulties between their two tag teams. So we'll end the show, 35% rating as expected. Hopefully at some point in the future we will be able to do better than that, but it's probably not going to be anytime soon, given the amount of money it's going to cost us to improve our production. Malcolm McKnight, as I mentioned, made a promise to him that we've now kept 428 tickets, so almost 6,500 in ticket sales. So that was a good step forward for that event. I think that's the first time we've topped $6,000 in ticket sales, and also the first time we've topped 400 tickets being sold, because I believe that math is $15 a pop for the tickets. So small amount of progress there, which hopefully will help us deliver a more profitable month of July than we did in June. And as I said, thinking ahead to our 3 events in the month of August, we're going to try to start being a lot more strategic with not just the storylines and how we script the shows, but also who's in what shows, and trying to be as efficient as possible with our expenses. Storylines, the We Don't Like Each Other storyline between the women wrestlers has definitely kind of petered out. We're going to end that storyline at this point. It's been going on a while. A little more heat for the tag team trouble. We talked about that with the Corey McKee angle in the match that he now has coming up against Josue Melton. So hopefully we can get a little more momentum there. And We Want a Shot at Ricky still has some pretty good momentum. Started with Gia Valdez turning on Ricky and publicly showing off her relationship with Mark Cannon. Lucian Gilliam and Malik Gillespie also involved. And of course, Garrett Carter is now public enemy number 1 of Ricky Babylon. So we will do what we can to hopefully keep that storyline going over the near to medium term. I think matches between Carter and Ricky Babylon are likely to remain a pretty significant part of that. And despite our move towards somewhat more responsibility with the purse strings, we had a pretty good result for our main event in August. Attendance of 459 was a record for us. Started off the month with a pretty big card, Inferno match between newcomer Trace Henson and Corey McKee. We also had the M&M boys defend their title in the tag team for the men's against Thunder and Lightning. And then Ricky Babylon defeated Garrett Carter in a match that continued their storyline going. As I noted, we have gotten a lot more focused on just managing things a little more smartly. We've got an upcoming show today, a smaller show for us in New York. You can see we are still going to have Ricky Babylon in the men's championship. The women's tag team championship is actually going to be our featured match, the main event, so to speak. A couple of people had come to us and asked to be placed in a main event. So by putting that event after the men's championship, we'll get credit for including a couple of wrestlers there in the main event and keeping promises to them. Expecting attendance of over 400 here, but you can see the wage bill of around $1,200 is going to be a lot less than we've had in some shows. Definitely being more thoughtful about that. You can see important wrestlers, including Garrett Carter, most notably, but also Keith Yates, Malcolm McKnight, not a part, or actually, if I were to hide the book people, you could see that prominent wrestlers like Garrett Carter and Malcolm McKnight are not part of this show. Either is Marvin McNeil or Trace Henson. So definitely have a few of the big names that are going to be skipping this show. Also, as I mentioned, more thoughtful with our announcers. Just one announcer at the shows each month that aren't the main shows. Just one referee. And we were also thoughtful, I think, with how we handled personalities. Only one personality at this show. It is the personality, if I can pull it up, Caden Brady, the face who is designed to give a little bit of an entertainment boost to a few of our faces who are better wrestlers, but not necessarily the greatest entertainers in the world. So he's going to be the manager, I think, at three different matches ringside today. Don't have any other managers there. So again, just trying to get the most bang for the buck. And you can see the number of wrestlers and referees and personalities and announcers who are part of our promotion who aren't at this event is certainly higher than it's typically been. Normally when I start a new game like PWS, like to just kind of throw as many different things at the game as quickly as possible to try to learn as much as possible. Not claiming to be an expert in the game by any stretch of the imagination this early stages of my time with it, but feel like it does make sense to start getting a little more thoughtful about how we build cards, not just in terms of being prudent with our financial spending, but also trying to get better at building storylines and building good scores for the point we hope at some point in the future when our show scores aren't going to be limited to a 35. And we'll go through this August show in lovely Saratoga Springs, New York, relatively quickly. You can see a promo at the beginning, nice reaction, which we typically get when Ricky Babylon is involved. Also another promo trying to keep the momentum of another storyline going with a solid result as well. Getting into the matches now, dud of a match between Josue Melton and Xander Berry, unfortunately. Moving on to a tag team match between the Head Knockers and the High Flyers. Jordan Cunningham of the Head Knockers leads the heels to the victory over the more popular faces. Okay match quality, okay final score for us. You may remember, I believe, we've gotten feedback on some recent shows that if we had better production values, we could be getting a show score as high as 55%. So seeing some of these final scores in the high 40s is not necessarily optimal, but we will hopefully improve over time by the time we do have higher production values. Keith Yates continues to just win practically every match that he's a part of, defeating Malik Gillespie today. Moving on to the main events. Solid score with Ricky Babylon maintaining the men's championship, and then we'll find out what happens in the women's championship match here. The match quality there certainly not great, but Pain Train, Alani Hernandez, and Gia Valdez do successfully retain their title. See if we can get a little bit of momentum with some post-match interviews. Solid score there for an angle involving Cannon getting interviewed about his match with Keith Yates and his continued battles with Ricky Babylon and others. And a pretty solid reaction to a new angle involving the female wrestlers. So show score of 35%, which is where we're limited, as I noted, and you can see with better production we could have gotten a 54 here. So hopefully over time we'll start making enough money to make that possible. One show left here in the month of August, and then we'll finish off this episode. Ticket sales definitely down from where they were for the last show, but it was not as big a show. You can see some promises to Maria Wynn and Gia Valdez, both successful, so positive momentum there. When we look at backstage morale, things are generally still very positive. And to finish off the month of August, we've got a somewhat more expensive show planned in Philadelphia, hoping to get attendance back up over 400. A casket match between Lucian Gilliam and Trace Henson on 3 title matches on the day. The first, the M&M Boys going up against Thunder and Lightning. That'll also have some storyline implications. Then Keith Yates and Garrett Carter, also hopefully some storyline implications there. Ricky Babylon's going to whip Malcolm McKnight in a title match. You can see the result of the men's tag team championship is uncertain, but the men's championship will, of course, be retained for the time being by Ricky Babylon. Post-show, we are going to have women's championship between Alani Hernandez and Anastasia Romero, trying to get that newly reinvigorated storyline a little bit of momentum. And as we work through the matches, the M&M Boys, Marvin McNeil and Josue Melton, did retain their tag team championship today. Garrett Carter with a win over Keith Yates. Match quality a bit disappointing given how good and expensive those two wrestlers are. Malcolm McKnight and Ricky Babylon making their introductions. Malcolm McKnight accompanied by his manager, Samara Lester, who gets a good reaction from the crowd every time. The match itself, pretty solid quality, largely, of course, driven by Ricky Babylon. Promo and introductions for the women's championship match that's coming up clearly got a good reaction there. Some post-match interviews with Garrett Carter about his win over Keith Yates, as well as his latest thoughts on Ricky Babylon. Women's title match, very poor quality, unfortunately. Alani Hernandez does continue to retain her singles championship belt for the women, and she is also, of course, part of the tag team champions there. Interview with Anastasia Romero following the match, even though she was the loser, gets a very good reaction. With better production, we could have gotten to a 60 on this, so I guess that's a little bit of progress. Let's see what the attendance looks like. Probably not going to be as many as we had for the 3M Live to get things started this month. But 436 ticket sales is basically right there as one of the best events that we've had. So slow but steady progress, and we'll take it. And we did lose the young wrestler Clinton Gordon today. He was just a mid-card member of our group, but never really got a ton of momentum with him. He was a member of a tag team, the High Flyers, that had some success from time to time. So disappointing to see him leave, but certainly was not a critical member of our organization. And before we get to the end of the month and see if we can have made a little bit more money with our new fiscal austerity that we've been trying to put in, a quick look at the storylines. I think the big takeaway is that outside of Ricky Babylon and his excellent wrestling and excellent star power, it's been a little bit difficult for us to get a lot of momentum going with these storylines. Tag team trouble continues to putter along. We Want a Shot at Ricky has gotten momentum. We also added Keith Yates to that recently to give us a second face in addition to Ricky Babylon to have involved in some of those negative relationships. Of course, Garrett Carter did just beat Keith Yates in the last match that we had, so that probably sets Garrett Carter up for another title match against Ricky Babylon the next time that we use him. We still don't like each other, not gaining much momentum in the early stages of trying to reinvigorate that storyline as well. And we'll finish off the episode with a look at our finances as of the month of August, and you can see we did finally get back into the black after 2 straight months where we lost money, and we made more than we had made since April, which is, of course, when we started increasing our production values. So definitely good to know that we can certainly continue eking out a profit and adding more money to our bottom line if we're a little more thoughtful about the way we manage our shows. You can see merchandise sales continue to climb, which is good. Ticket sales continue to climb as well. And we did lower our staff wages about $600 from July and almost $1,000 from the month of June, just by being, as I said, a little more prudent in how we're spending the money, which is probably what we need to do at this point in our development. Current money, a little over $70,000 at this point. Our Wild World of Wrestling public image has definitely improved. Popularity slowly, but hopefully surely moving in the right direction. You can see we've just kind of gotten up to that 15 level, just past that. Hopefully we can continue approaching 20 over the remainder of this year, and then that's a point at which our marketing and back office budgets may need to be enhanced, but we will deal with that issue if and when it's the right time to make some changes. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.